The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the participants and do not reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
BronxNet. Your voice, your views, your vision.
Hello and welcome to the one and only show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world right to you. I'm your host, Ramon Rodriguez, and today we are presenting a very special edition of Open, dedicated to the country and culture of Morocco. The resume of the lineup of guests joining us on this show is pretty amazing. On the phone, we will have Moroccan Ambassador to the United States, Aziz Makour. On Skype, directly from the Sahara Desert, regional journalist Nama Moulanin. In studio, NYU Professor of Medicine, Dr. Mohamed Bougir, as well as Chair and Vice President of the American Sephardi Federation, Florence Hamzalig Tadishef. And finally, we will have a taste of Moroccan entertainment as singer, musician, composer Malika Zara performs right here on our stage. So stay tuned. All this and much more is headed your way because we are now officially open. Hello, Bronxites. I'm your host, Ramon Rodriguez, and today is Wednesday, July 6, 2011. Of course, you're watching Open, the only live and interactive program that brings the Bronx and the rest of New York straight to your TV set. Feel free to give us a call at 718-960-7241 or send an email to www.bronxnet.org. We invite you to write us on our Twitter account at BronxNetTV and give us your thoughts on Morocco. We want to hear from you, so tweet us throughout the show. On Friday, July 1, 2011, a referendum was voted on and the people of Morocco cast a historic vote. Over 98% of Moroccans voted for constitutional reform. And with us now on the phone, directly from Washington, D.C., to talk about this momentous vote is the Moroccan Ambassador to the United States, Aziz Makour. Ambassador, thank you for being with us, and it's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us. Mr. Ambassador, I know that the vote that took place in Morocco on the 1st of July was, as I mentioned in the opening, rather historic. Can you share with us your insight and your reaction to the vote that took place, this referendum by the people of Morocco?
Well, let me give you some ground first. Everybody has been talking about the Arab Spring. Well, in Morocco, reforms started many, many years ago, and since the new king Mohammed VI became king in 1999. So we have been going through a number of political and economical reforms, and as you know, in Morocco, probably was the only country in the region to have a multi-party system. And we have had elections, free and fair elections in 2002, 2007. But I think in the beginning of this year, King Mohammed VI decided that it was time for a new set of reforms, and this new set of reforms would be through a new constitution. So he appointed a commission, constitutional commission, and asked this Constitutional Commission to work with the political parties, the unions, the NGOs, the youth group, and everybody else to draft a new constitution. And this is what happened after 4 months work with all the stakeholders, the political parties again, the unions, the NGOs, the youth movements, and a commission came up with the draft constitution, which is really a wonderful constitution in terms of democracy. Morocco is a monarchy, so the Morocco is today a constitutional parliamentarian monarchy. And the most important thing is that everybody participated in the drafting of the Constitution. And if you compare it to constitutions of other countries in Europe, you will see that it's pretty similar.
I know that one of the things that this referendum provided was that the king of Morocco, King Mohammed VI, was actually relinquishing some of his power to the prime minister that would now be elected by the majority party of the Parliament of Morocco. Is that relinquishing of power something that that the Moroccan people were looking for as part of what they were going to vote for?
Look, first of all, as you know, the results were pretty clear. 70%, more than 70% of the all voted, and the results were 98%, more than 98% voted with yes. I must say that those who didn't agree with the new constitution called for a boycott of the constitution, so it's normal to have that numbers. Now, the king, yes, the king is relinquishing. According to the new constitution, there is a sharing of powers between the king and the president government, and that's important. As I said, this is a new step in the political life of Morocco.
Now, Ambassador, this is a first as far as a prime minister being elected in Morocco, is it not?
Well,
I mean, I know that hasn't happened yet, but that's what would happen by the majority party in Parliament, correct?
Exactly, it's exactly that. The like the other three, king appoints the prime minister. You know, the head of state appoints the prime minister, which by the case of Morocco, we will have a president of the government, not a prime minister, and the president of the government has to come from party that wins more in the election.
Now, Mr. Ambassador, one of the things I'd like to ask you with as we close this this segment, and again, thank you for being with us, is what do you attribute the peacefulness, the democratic process that took place in Morocco, and the way that it took place, as opposed to some of the other transitions that are that have occurred or are attempting to occur in other areas of the Middle East and of the Muslim world?
Well, as I said, reform started many years ago in Morocco, and what the Tunisians indeed were asked for, we had it in Morocco, and there is a so we had big freedom. Free and fair freedom, and now what's happening now with the new constitution is just a new step forward. And in Morocco, we have the use to do things in a peaceful way, and we had protests, so not as many as in other countries, but happened there is protests. We have the freedom of speech and freedom of expression, and people went to the streets. The police was and people had expressed themselves freely, and this is how it happened. And the best way to do things that way.
And is it fair to say that after the vote of this referendum and some of the abdication of the king's powers, that the king still enjoys an overwhelming support of the people of Morocco? Would it be fair to say that?
Oh, absolutely. I think many voted, not only voted yes, only because they thought that the constitution was a constitution, but also that the king was going yes. But the king is very popular in Morocco.
Well, it certainly reflects a new wave of democracy, certainly throughout the Middle East and other and Muslim countries, and I congratulate you and the Moroccan people for the leadership that they have shown in this regard. Once again, thank you, Mr. Ambassador, for joining us and taking time this morning from your busy schedule to share your thoughts on this most recent referendum that took place in Morocco. And after the break, journalist Nama Moulanin continues our discussion on the latest constitutional reform of Morocco.
Okay, now you ready? Now, just like I showed you.
Yeah.
Now push in the clutch and gently shift it in the first gear.
I remember, okay.
Okay, that was good. Oh, honey, look this way, look this way. Honey, hit the gas a little more. Hit the gas. Oh, hey. No, honey, put your hands on the wheel. Hey, honey, it's okay. You're doing great. You're driving. And once you just pull over, brake. That's perfect. Brake.
Thank you, Dad. We're all born free and equal.
Don't discriminate.
These are your human rights. There are 30 of them. They belong to you. You don't have to buy them, or apply for them, or ask permission to have them. They're just yours. No matter who you are, where you're from, how old you are, or anything else. It's just that simple. Now, some people may try to ignore your rights, or violate them, or pretend they don't exist. But they can't change the fact that they're yours. Human right number 30. No one can take away your human rights. What are human rights? Find out at youthforhumanrights.org.
13, 12, 11, 10. Three, two, one.
Hey, Shane.
Test.
Where's your emergency?
Please, send help.
Tell me what happened?
He's dead. Please, he was shot.
Okay, what's going on right now?
I think he needs help. Send help.
Our next guest comes to us directly from the Sahara Desert via Skype. He is a journalist for a regional TV station, as well as a journalist for the Sahara Media News Agency. He is also a member of the Commission of Media and Communication for the Mousem de Tantan. He will talk to us about the diversity in various Moroccan cities, cultural exchange at the Mousem de Tantan, and give us his take on the vote that took place at the referendum on July 1. Nama Moulanin, welcome to the show, and thank you for being with us. The first thing we want to talk about is, of course, the referendum of July 1st. How important was this referendum to the Moroccan people, and what message does it send?
The new referendum in Morocco, it's a very good step. It's a step that shows kind of democracy of the King Mohammed VI. And, there was some kind of protest taking place on the Moroccan streets since 20th February. They were asking for change and a lot of things. So the king is trying to do this, what these people asking for, such as a kind of human liberties and a kind of human rights, and try to change taking the power from the king to the prime minister. And by that, the constitution, the king gives all what they ask about, and he tried to give all the power to the nation. I mean, to the prime minister and to other people, parliament, and so on. But he stayed the king of Morocco. So as a new step of democracy in Morocco, I appreciate what the king do, and I said yes, and I'm ready with this referendum, and I'm with this constitution.
Now, let me ask you, was the turnout of over 98% vote, of over 98% for this referendum, was that a surprise?
Okay, honestly, it was really a surprise, but there is a kind of power of the Moroccan society. There were some people wanting to boycott this constitution or this referendum, but this boycott, it was a success to Morocco, because if they went to the places in order to vote, they will give a high number of no. But we were too lucky, so the boycott that referendum, and the 98% reflect the real sound of the Moroccan society and the whole people wanting this referendum, and they said yes. So 98% is not just a number. It means a lot of things, a lot of symbols.
And on the issue of rights, one of the key components of this referendum was the increase of rights for women in Morocco. What impact will that have on the Moroccan society?
So this constitution, as I told you, it didn't come just to females. It comes to the whole part of society: children, females, workers, and all parts of society. So females in Islam at all, the Islam give her power. But through this constitution, the king gave her another part. Even if he did it before in one of his speeches, he gave a lot of liberties, a lot of rights to females. He tried to make sure that he gave it in this referendum, which is mean that the Moroccan females become really integrating at work, integrating at the political system, integrating at the law system, I can say too, and it's become one of the power in Morocco, so we can base on.
Now, I guess that one of the most important things to point out here, as far as the referendum vote was concerned, is that it received, and it has received, a lot of support and a lot of congratulations, actually, from the European nations as well as the United States. How important was that for this referendum?
So, you know, when I can say, when the developed or when the high countries, between brackets, said yes for something in the third world, it means yes. It means it's good. So after the succeed of this great referendum, the Moroccan society, or the Moroccan king, received a lot of calls from different presidents, different kingdoms. They say that yes, we are okay with you. And it's really a new movement, because as we know that there is a kind of movement in Tunisia, Egypt, and Libya, and Yemen, and other countries. They kill people, and there was manifestation, there was Protestant everywhere. But in Morocco, it was really an easy way, a peaceful way. So there is a change in a peaceful way. So all those people congratulate the king. He didn't kill, he didn't beat people in the streets, but finally, he did a change with 98% with no problems.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that it's a new movement, and much to the credit of the Moroccan people and the Moroccan government, it is a movement that has occurred very, very peacefully, contrary to some of the other movements and some of the other changes that have been wanting to take place in other Arab countries throughout the Middle East and in other areas in Northern Africa. So how is it that the Moroccan people can do this in such a democratic and peaceful fashion?
Okay. Honestly speaking, the Moroccan society is, I can say between brackets, it's a little bit developed than other countries, And by asking in a peaceful way, really, it was a peaceful way, and it was sometime protected by the police, by the gendarmerie, in order not to have problems or something like that. The voice of these people, the king listened to what they said, even if he is away. He listened to what the streets say, what the street asked, and those people did do some kind of work, some kind of movement in a peaceful way, and that's why probably the king tried to answer a lot of what they asked about, and that's why there was no problems.
And finally, what was the importance of recognizing Berber as one of the official language, as an official language along with Arabic in Morocco?
Okay, so I'm very proud, or I'm very grateful of this constitution. You know, so Berber are the real I can say the real habitant. They are the native sons of Morocco. So Morocco, we can say in the past it was a Berber country and it was an Amazigh country. So by recognizing it as an official language, it means a lot of things. And it's not just Berber. There is a Joyce language, and there is Hassaniya language, and there is other dialect that the king tried to improve and tried to give them importance. But if we came back to the Berber language, nowadays students, primary schools, they study Berber, which means that the Moroccan society is going to use Berber in further years as an official language.
And just to touch on the other point that we mentioned at the opening, you are involved, of course, with the Musem de Tantan. And, of course, BronxNet and its executive producer, Michael Max Nabi and Marcelo Mendez, recently visited and participated in the Tantan Festival in the Sahara. And we're seeing now for our viewers some of the footage of their arrival in Morocco in December of last year. And tell us a little bit about that event.
So, totally speaking about the Festival of Tantan or Mawsim Tantan, it's one of the greatest festival that Sahara knows, and it's a kind of gathering between tribes and gathering of all oral and immaterial things, you know. And Mawsim Tantan was taking place first time at 1963, celebrating and commemorating the name of a leader and a political man named Sheikh Mohammed Laghdaf at 1963. And it was a yearly movement taking place near his tomb in the desert in Tantan, and it was stopped at 1973 or 74, and then began at 2005 by a kind of help through the UNESCO and through Kitty Munoz, one of the ambassadors of UNESCO. So this movement, it gives a kind of power to people to preserve and to protect their traditions, their culture, and their heritage.
Well, it's certainly a magnificent festival and one that I anticipate will continue for many years to come. Nama, I want to thank you for taking time for being with us, and congratulations on the success of the referendum to you and to the entire country of Morocco and its people. And there's more open right after these messages.
Hey girl, Nicole, good luck on the play tonight. You're welcome. What's up, guys? Now you're gonna make sure that you return those on Monday, right? Thank you. Oh, nice. We'll talk to you for a second. Go ahead, try a second. Give me water. Come on, let me get you water.
And where you?
Sunni downstate. 20, 19, 17, 16, 15, 14.
Hello, viewers. I'm your host, Ramon Rodriguez. And remember, this is a live and interactive talk show. So join in on the conversation by calling 718-960-7241 or just send an email to open@bronxnet.org. Dr. Mohammed Bougir is a professor at the NYU Department of Medicine, also at the SUNY Downstate Medical Center, and Associate Chief of Staff for Research and Development at the VA New York Harbor Healthcare Systems. His research interest is in cardiovascular diseases, but his accomplishments in the Moroccan culture shine back to 2002, when he was knighted by His Majesty the King of Morocco, Mohammed VI, with the Order of the Throne. He was the president for 2 terms at the Moroccan Association of Researchers and Scholars, and Dr. Bougir is here to discuss his achievements and work in the Moroccan culture. Doctor, thank you for being with us and taking time from your obviously very, very busy schedule. Let me go right to the issue at hand and focus on what we've been discussing with our two previous guests. This referendum is clearly a historic referendum that took place in Morocco on July 1st. What is your take on why over 98% of the Moroccan population that eligible to vote voted for this referendum?
Well, as was mentioned previously by the ambassador and the fellow journalists from the Sahara, the Moroccan reforms actually started in 1999, right after the King of Morocco, Mohammed VI, took power, and what we see now is actually just an enhancement of other reforms that probably were part of what has happened in the region. And I think for any Moroccans, especially those of us who are living abroad, realize that this is really going to move the country in the right direction. And I assume that belief in the move forward that made these people go out and vote. And I actually, Friday, I went myself to Manhattan and I expressed my vote. And I did review the Constitution, and I'm sure we'll have the opportunity to talk a little bit more about it.
Absolutely. Do you think that given some of the powers that the king has surrendered as a result of this referendum, do you foresee any kind of a split between the king's powers that he has retained and the powers that are now going to be given to a new prime minister?
Well, I am in the view of looking at the glass half full.
Okay.
So I am confident that based on actually the achievements of what the King Mohammed VI has done in the last 10, 15 years, that I do not anticipate any problems. Rather, I think the prime minister with the additional power that he's going to have in hand, and as you mentioned earlier, the prime minister will be elected from the majority party,
right.
and there are other reforms in the parliament. So I would perceive that as the way it's happening here in the United States, where you have the legislative body working closely with the prime minister. So I don't see that as a handicap or anything, but rather as a positive step moving forward.
Now, given that the referendum incorporated additional involvement and additional benefits, if you will, to the women of the country, where do you see the women's movement in Morocco going? To leadership positions, to more influential positions within the government and within the country itself?
Well, according to the current constitution, the women will have to play a major role in the political scene, as well as in social and economic venues. You might probably know that the first thing the King Mohammed VI did when he took power is to reform what they call mudawana, which is actually the social status of the women. So this started years back, and I think now the fact that political parties will have to have some kind of quota for women participation will be really something now that is put on the table. It's no longer something that you only encourage, but now it's going to be part of the constitution, and every party will have to include women and their participation in the change via the political process.
And therefore the enhancement of overall human rights.
Absolutely. Like everywhere else, the women constitute over half the population, and I think their contribution and participation is primordial.
And it's a young country too, isn't it?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Now, in terms of the population itself, can you share with us a picture of what that population is made up of? I know one of the major segments of the population is the Berber.
Well,
correct?
I actually have to say that I am extremely delighted that the Amazigh or the Berber language will be part, along with the Arabic as an official language of Morocco,
Right.
for the simple reason that I'm myself from Berber origin.
Okay.
So I was very delighted that that change occurred, although I must say that I live in New York for the last 23 years, and I go back to Morocco once a year. I have noticed that we have a Berber TV. There is a Berber radio way back, maybe the last 5, 6 years. And now bringing up the Berber language to the status of an official language, I think that will really help the already existing cross-pollination of cultures between the two major cultures in Morocco.
So that inclusion of recognizing Berber as one of the official languages of Morocco, did that surprise you?
I honestly, as I mentioned, because I've seen that it was included in the network TV in Morocco about 6 years ago. There have been talks in the media about it. I think this was for me a natural progression of the events that already started in the last couple of years. And I think I just want to put things into context, because I know you asked your previous speakers about the fact what makes Morocco so unique.
Yes.
And I think one, in my view, again, although as I said, I live in the US, but I follow closely what's going on in Morocco, is the fact that Morocco has undertaken, I think with Mohammed VI, has undertaken these reforms way ahead of the other countries in the region. And this perfect example is what you just mentioned now about the status of the women and the Amazigh culture. So they already started. Now we reached a point where that matured in a way that it's becoming part of the new constitution, and it's something that nobody can change.
Do you think, Doctor, that because of the geographical location of Morocco, that aside from the Muslim, the Arabic influence, that it is also it's also embraced some European influence?
Well, exactly. Morocco is about 9 miles from Europe, 14 kilometers for the metric people. But Morocco has this long history, as you probably know. Tangier, which is located in completely northwest side of Morocco, has been an international city for so many years, and that really allowed all the European, not only European Mediterranean neighborhood, but also the Americas to come and exchange culture, and thus embed the Moroccans with this outside culture. And again, from reading the New York Times, it seems that Morocco now is being considered, and probably in the future, as being part of the European Union when time comes, because of the close proximity.
And I guess that's the genesis of my question, why, whether or not there was any influence. But from your perspective, Doctor, and given your involvement within, with the Moroccan culture and a lot of the things that you have spearheaded, what do you see will begin to happen as a result of this referendum in Morocco? What will it really mean to the country and the people of Morocco?
I think Morocco, with these anticipated significant reforms, will move towards the rule of law, and will move towards freedom of press, which already exists, but enhanced further.
Sure.
The independence of judiciary system, and all together will just do nothing but move Morocco in the right direction. And combined with the fact that education is an important fact that also needs to be to tag along all these reforms.
Sure.
So that Morocco can move forward and join. By the way, I want to say this: join the emerging countries. In fact, one of the most important rating agencies in the United States that rates the economic status of countries has rated Morocco among only other two countries in Africa as an emerging country, and that's Egypt and South Africa. So the political change, along with the economic change that's already in place and recognized by outside institutions, I think the path is already there for Morocco to move in the right direction and towards further economic development, the well-being of the people, and
in many ways, I guess, be somewhat of a prototype for some of the other Arabic countries, right?
Why not? In fact, just by the recent reforms, there have been talks about the fact that, what's happening in the region, Morocco can serve as a pilot program for them to consider.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, Doctor, again, thank you so very much for your time. I know how busy you are, given all of your responsibilities.
I have one more thing that I'd like
Please.
to add. I just want, because I have a 14-year-old son, and one day he was doing a project on Morocco, and I told him, did you know that Morocco is the first country that recognized the independence of the United States? He said, no. So I told him, let's Google it. He brought his laptop and we Googled it. It's right there. So Morocco is the first country that recognized the independence of the United States in 1777. Only a year after that Holland joined in, and then another year or two, England and other countries. So I think this is a very important fact to put in place.
It is, and I guess it's not surprising then how come the United States was so supportive of the movements of Morocco at this time. Thank you again, Doctor, so much for your time. And please don't go anywhere, because up next, the Vice President of the American Sephardi Federation joins us to speak on Jewish life in Morocco. We'll be right back. Hi, and we're back here on Open, and as always, I'm Ramon Rodriguez. The American Sephardi Federation was officially organized in 1973 with the mission to promote and preserve the historical, spiritual, and cultural traditions of all Sephardic communities. Every year they host an exhibition titled Looking Back, Jewish Life in Morocco, An Epic Journey. This event has and continues to provide a look at the presence of Jews in ancient and current kingdom of Morocco. Chair and Vice President Florence Amzalak Tatishev is here to explain more on the Federation and the connection of the Jewish community and Morocco. Welcome to Open, and thank you for being with us, Florence.
Thank you.
I know that the work that you have done and continue to do with the foundation, with the Federation, is certainly extremely important to you as well as to the Jewish community, the Sephardic Jewish community that you represent and of which you are a part. Tell us a little bit about what drew you, first of all, to the Federation and some of the work that you've done.
Life is very interesting, of course. And I left Morocco when I was 19 to come to study in the United States. And I did many studies, and I have a profession. And lo and behold, before I knew it, I was back into my roots through the Federation. At the Federation, as you mentioned, we celebrate Sephardic communities in the world. We did 2,600 years of Jewish life in Iraq. We did 600 years of Jewish life in Spain. And this year, it's 2,000 years of Jewish life in Morocco, an epic journey, and it is under the high patronage of His Majesty King Mohammed VI. for which we are terrifically. It's a prestigious and it's a great honor.
Now, do you think that it was somewhat coincidental or planned in anticipation of this referendum movement?
Oh no, it was completely separated. No, we
so
planned this.
So it was just coincidental that this
absolutely
that this happened.
Coincidental.
Well, how fortuitous, huh?
Absolutely.
And tell us a little bit about the genesis of the term Sephardic.
Yes. Sephardic now is being used as a general term for Jews from the Mediterranean, really.
Okay.
As to contrast with the Ashkenazi Jewish population, it's easy now to say Sephardic and Ashkenazi. Sephardic really means, Sepharad means Spanish, Spain in Hebrew. And therefore, the Spanish Jews that left Morocco, that left Spain in 1492, returned to Morocco. Someone said that the Jewish life in Morocco is really 3,000 years old, so it is quite ancient. This is in, of course, the imagination and in the domain of legend. But historically, it's really 2,000 years that we can find absolute research on the historical presence in Morocco. And it's also the same presence in Spain. And between the Jews of Spain and the Jews of Morocco, there was always a continuous exchange culturally and in all the different ways of life. So when Jews from Morocco, from Spain, returned to Morocco, it was really returning to Morocco. And so they were called Sephardim because they came from Sepharad.
Which was Spain.
Which is Spain in Hebrew.
And therefore, as a result of that, those roots in Spain, it should come as no surprise to our viewers, for example, that there are so many Sephardic Jews that have surnames that have somewhat of a Spanish sound to them.
Oh, absolutely,
right?
Absolutely, Spanish and Arabic.
Sure.
Many names, and Berber, of course, because of course we could spend many hours speaking about all of this immense and amazing culture that I find in the multiculturalism of Morocco. As I said, the Jews were here way before the Arabs came.
When you say here, they were here
to Morocco.
Morocco, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
And we found the Berbers, and there was a great mixture of the two civilizations, if I may say. They influenced each other, and they spoke the same languages. The Jews in Spain and Morocco spoke Arabic and wrote in Arabic.
And Spanish?
Of course. Well, Spanish came later, you know.
Okay.
But Spanish became to develop as a language much later. It was Latin, the vulgar Latin, but the main language was for 800 years in Spain was Arabic, the cultural language. So Maimonides wrote all of his works in Arabic. And then later on, they were translated into Hebrew and the languages that we know today.
So in Morocco today, given the diverse cultures that it has, is there a large Spanish-speaking Sephardic population?
Oh, definitely. There are pockets. The pockets in the north, but when the Jews arrived after the Inquisition, they settled in many places in Morocco. And at first, of course, it was like the foreigner coming, because an amazing influx came to come to the other already settled Jewish communities in Fez, in Tétouan, in the north, in Tangier, Spanish Morocco that we know today.
So it was really,
and Marrakesh, it was everywhere.
It permeated the entire country.
Yes, and there are many Toledano and Pinto and all these names that are absolutely Sephardic names.
Well, Florence, I know that in preparation for our program and in thinking about some of the changes that have occurred not only throughout your life, but the changes that have most recently occurred through this referendum vote, you were inspired and drafted a piece that I would like for you to take us into our next break with, and read what you were so inspired to write and share it with our viewers. Would you please?
With pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go
Now,
ahead. Yes.
I think it's very important to say that the Jewish life in Morocco, even though there are very few, maybe 3,000 Jews in Morocco, it is the only country where, Arab country, where there is still a thriving Jewish community, and where in Casablanca we have a Jewish museum, and the synagogues are plentiful and part of the life in Morocco. Yesterday, as I was thinking about this, I was inspired to write something which I would like to read. In the streets of Morocco, they asked in a peaceful manner, and His Majesty Mohammed VI listened to his people. And he answered in a noble manner, and he received world acclaim. His response was not simply an immediate reaction to appease the crowd. His speech had formality and carried promise and substance. His constitution offered dignity to the people, each in his or her own creed, culture, language, and costume. He mentions and the Amazigh, and the Arab, and the Jew, and the Andalusian. Each will offer their thread to weave the multicolored coat of the country. To be born in Morocco is to take your energy from a fountain of spirituality, where the Marabout and the Tzaddikim knew each other from long ago. And the old lady remembers and cares for them to receive eternal blessing. Look up and hold hands. The future is yours. Do keep the dignity. You will receive blessings. As a young girl, I wanted to fly across the ocean on my own. I did, and my father helped. I shed nothing. Instead, I took it all with me and added the new to the old with no effort. See, I had diversity in myself, and therefore I felt at home everywhere. I call myself a Moroccan Jewish woman in all her glory, wrapped in the American coat, and it all fits perfectly. I carry my Jewish Moroccan identity with pride everywhere I go in the world.
Beautiful. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much
for being with us.
Thank you.
And right after these messages, we clear the set and get ready to hear some of the best in Moroccan music from artist Malika Zahra. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to Open. And now we will enjoy some Moroccan entertainment by singer, composer, producer Malika Zahra. She is the multicultural enchantress with the smooth mezzo-soprano voice who has the ability to communicate in Berber, Moroccan, Arabic, French, and English. Today, she is a sought-after headliner at musical events around the world. And now she is here on our Open set, ready to bring Morocco a taste of Morocco to you at home.
Malaika, nakupenda malaika. Malaika, nakupenda malaika. Ingekuwa wamaliwe, ingekuwa wadada. Nashindwa na mali sina we, ingekuwa malaika. Nashindwa na mali sina we, ingekuwa malaika. Ariakutukumpaka. Kumbadalidu madaleyadum, badali sadalayadum, kumbadalidu madaleyadum, badu no nadiyadum, badalidu madaleyadum, kumbadali hadalayadum, badalidu madaleyadum, nadali. Malaika, nakupenda malaika. Malaika, nakupenda malaika. Ingekuwa wamaliwe, ingekuwa wadada. Nashindwa na mali sina we, ingekuwa malaika. Nashindwa na mali sina we, ingekuwa malaika. Riaktukukumpake, kumbadalidu ngaruedum, kumbadali hadalayadum, badaledu mariedabum, badaledu nabiyegume, badalidu mariedabum, badumbe taknileyabume, badalidu mariedabum, kumbadali tukunuma, kumbadali tukunuma, kumbadali tukunuma, kumbadali tukunuma, kumbadali tukunuma, kumbadali tumbadali.
Malika, thank you so much. That was wonderful, and with musical accompaniment, I'm sure it sounds even greater, doesn't it?
Exactly.
And I know that you've performed from everywhere from Austria to Switzerland and everywhere in between. Yes. So, and for those of our viewing audience interested, please check out her latest CD, Malika Zahra, Berber Taxi. And it's been a pleasure coming into your homes this morning, and we'd like to thank our guests for joining us, and especially you, our viewers, for tuning in. Now, Malika, where do you go from here?
Right now, I'm going to tour in Europe, and I'll come back in New York in September 2nd at the Between Festival. I'm going to perform at Between the Seas Festival.
And
yes.
that's going to be where? Here in the city?
In New York, yeah. You have to check my website, malikazahra.com, to find out where it's going to happen.
Okay, and this, of course, is your latest CD.
It's my latest CD that came out in the US in April, and it's out also in Europe.
Okay.
And
selling big, no doubt. huh?
Say it again?
Selling big, right?
Yes, yes.
And some of the artists that influenced you, I know, some of the artists that influenced you early on in your career were people like Aretha Franklin, Thelonious Monk, I think.
Yes, I mean, at home we were listening a lot of traditional music. That's how my music is really rooted in traditional Moroccan, North African music. So we were listening at home, Haja Hamdawiya, Rais Mohand, and also all the Middle Eastern musicians like Kulthum, Farid El Atrash. And then, since I grew up in France, I was born in Morocco, but growing up in France, I met the jazz, and that's why right now I'm I'm mixing all these different influences, and I sing also in different languages, in Berber or Amazigh, in Arabic, French, and English. And this one I choose this song because I really believe that all the time the culture of been traveling and we've been indebted to each other.
Okay.
And for me, it's really important. And this song is, it's a song from a Kenyan musician made famous from the South African singer. And I arranged it, and I added a rhythm called Shavi. It's a popular, traditional rhythm in North Africa. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted, all the different influence in Africa to be represented.
Sure. And as I understand it, initially when you decided that this is what you wanted to do, your parents were not too happy. Is that correct?
I mean, this is really rare that parents, would leave their child, to go and do this.
Sure.
Crazy work, because it's really hard. It's a tough.
It is, and a lot of traveling, and but a lot of dedication and a lot of discipline too. Because success doesn't happen overnight, right?
Exactly, absolutely.
Well, speaking of success, certainly we wish you continued success with your CD, with your tour, and for those viewers, please go to malikazara.com.
Exactly.
And you can check out where she will be coming to you next, and please go and see her. And once again, we'd like to thank you for joining us, thank our guests for being with us, and for all of you for tuning in. And certainly you can tune in tonight for the recablecast of Open at 10 p.m. on Channel 67. And of course, you can catch a new episode on Friday at 10 a.m. with Rina Valentin. Again, thank you. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time on Open. And remember, keep your heart and mind open.
كنتي ولا الحنان لاقايو سفلى ورقصوا تحتايا نسقيت